America and other European countries are so disrespectful to Africa because they're against LGBTQ activities in Africa. They wonder why Europe and America do not condemn Muslim Arabs countries for being against LGBTQ. And I've said this, I've said this before, like, why only for us? Why not China? All right. Why not Arab countries? But why Africa?
What we have observed and what we see happening in what is referred to as the West, and is something that is not contained in or kept in the West. It's not something that's happening naturally or organically. It's something that is planned and executed. Some people will say, okay, this is a conspiracy theory that I'm suggesting, but I'm here to tell you that this whole agenda, the alphabet agenda and the exploitation of children and the exportation of these ideas of normalizing pedophilia. Pedophilia is the sexual abuse of children by adults. That this is not normal, and it is not an evolution of cultural norms. It's actually something that's highly organized. And you were telling me something the other day when we had the first Radical Truth. You told me, if I remember correctly, that these people are organized all throughout the country. In this country, the people behind this agenda, the NGOs, the foreign NGOs, and their partners. So if there are offices spread out throughout the country, it means that this is an agenda that's being orchestrated. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, who is doing it? Not just say, well, NGOs, but who is behind it, and why are they targeting Africa? I want to refer to a research, a poll done by the Pew Research Group, and in that report, they did a survey in 2019. The survey they did before was in 2013. In this survey, they show the global divide on the acceptance of homosexuality, of the alphabet agenda. And Canada is 85% acceptance. The US is 72% acceptance of this. Mexico is 69%. So that's North America, right? Europe is Western Europe is 89%, anywhere from 79 all the way up close to 92% acceptance, full embrace of this thing. And then you have Australia, and you have New Zealand, and you have Brazil and Argentina, right? But when you go to Russia only has 14% acceptance of this lifestyle. India increased from 14% to 37%. Japan is 68%. South Korea increased from 20% to 44%. And what shocked me was the Philippines at 73%. Right? But let's look at Africa and the Caribbean. And let's look at Eastern Europe and China. And you'll find that for the most part, just about every country in Africa, acceptance is very, very low or non-existent, with the exception of 54% of South Africans agreeing that it's okay, 7% Nigeria, 9% Tunisia, and 14% Kenya. That's Africa. All right? And China doesn't accept this challenge. The problem, though, with China, this is just an aside, because of their one-child policy that lasted for a couple of decades, there is a shortage of females, of women in China, and there's an overabundance of males, because of the one-child policy, which they ended recently. Because of this deficit of women, or I say because of it, don't say because of it. Let's just say there is a correlation now of an increase in homosexuality in China, corresponding with the relative shortage of women available. And I want to highlight this before I go back to Africa, all right? Because I want to draw attention. I want to draw attention to one fact. When you tamper with what is natural, with nature, right? What is the norm? When you tamper with it, you get unexpected outcomes, which are just as bad, if not worse, than the expected outcomes. The reason why China had the one-child policy was because they said that the country is producing too many children, the population is growing too fast, they want to contain and reduce their population. Now they have created the problem of a shortage of women for these men to marry. And there's a correlation between that and an increase in homosexuality. Yet the society at large don't accept homosexuality. My understanding is that it's actually, there are crimes or there are laws that try to contain the spread and the growth and the practice of homosexuality in China. Right?
Yes.
So what I want to say in conclusion for this segment here, because I'd like your feedback, is notice that the overwhelming majority of people, according to the Pew Research that was done on this topic, the majority of the people who support this lifestyle choice practice, no, I'm not politically correct. No, I'm not going to say that you're born with it. I'm not going to say that. But the people who promote this and who accept it are almost always North American, Western European, and of course, Caucasian or European dominated countries, with the exception of Brazil, which almost half the population are African, but somehow they have been able to pass laws that support this practice, and of course Argentina. Now Africa sticks out like a sore thumb, and the Caribbean sticks out like a sore thumb. And we said in our first discussion or conversation, we asked ourselves the question, why are they targeting Africa to promote this agenda? Why they're not targeting China? China is against it. Why they're not targeting Saudi Arabia and the Arab dominated countries? And we started to talk about the whole notion that there's too many people on the planet, and that the planet is becoming overpopulated, but yet it's only Africans that are really being targeted. And so we started to talk about why. I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about why, more details about why. And I would like to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, my brother. Thank you, man. Today we're gonna kill this thing all the way to the roots in Jesus' name. Let me just share something here that today morning when I woke up, I found the email. I found email to One Africa, and I want to appreciate you guys for sending emails. There's a lot of emails here coming, and Sometimes we don't get to go through all of them as soon as possible, but we try our best. So I'm just going to read this. This person, he actually saw our conversation about LGBTQ, and he had his own thoughts. So he shared with me some of the things here, and even some documents that I'm still reading. I haven't finished it yet. So I'm just gonna share his thoughts, because these are his thoughts, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. So he said, I have heard other African leaders ask the question, because the question is why America and other European countries are so disrespectful to Africans, because they're against LGBTQ activities in Africa. And you know, just I think the other day, World Bank, they stopped supporting Uganda because of the bill that Museveni passed, and he actually responded to them. He said, you know what, get out of here, we don't need you.
That's it.
And that was the best reaction, by the way.
Best reaction, yes.
On my side, I'm like, you guys, first of all those aid and loans are our money, so please stop, and we'll figure out how we're going to run our countries. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope the entire continent will sanction these guys. Anyways, so this guy, he continued to say that America and other European countries are so disrespectful to Africa because they're against LGBTQ activities in Africa. They wonder why Europe and America do not condemn Muslim Arabs countries for being against LGBTQ. And I've said this, you know, I've said this before, like, why only for us? Why not China? All right, why not Arab countries, but why Africa? So this guy said the reason is simple. He said they consider the majority of Africans as their mental slaves. He said they have no true respect for Africans, especially the one who are still Christians. All right, let me continue, and then we're gonna dive into that. So he said Christianity, as the Caucasians taught our slave ancestors in the West Indies and on the American continent, was designed to make them accept their situation as slaves. They accepted whatever bad treatment they received from Caucasians because they wanted to be good Christians. They believed that if they went against Caucasians, then they would be going against God. And then he said, if you have a time, please read the article below. The article says, lie taught in Christianity about Jesus Christ was the main cause of African slavery and colonialism and present day racism. So for me, when I read this, and I'm still reading this article, you know, when I was reading this, I understood one thing, and I think I agree with this guy to some extent, that the reason why Africa is the main target, I think Anthony can mute for a second. There's a lot of noise coming out.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think the reason, one of the reason why this issue is the big, especially here to African countries, and these guys are really pushing this agenda to African countries and not China. They don't say anything about China. Well, what about talking about, you know, the human rights in China? What about talking about human rights in the Middle East or Islamic country? The reason why I just want to dive into what this guy said, that, you know, a lot of Africans, we have Africans today hate Christianity because of what it did during colonialism, or because of how these colonizers misused the scriptures, misused these ideas, even painting the picture that we saw called Jesus today. You know, this white man with blue eyes and long, you know, brown hair. You know, Jesus did not even look like that, right? They painted purposefully, or the idea or the agenda, yeah, exactly, brainwashed. The agenda behind it was to manipulate Africans, first of all, not to believe in the true God himself, but rather to believe on something agenda that they already had. So for me, I see these guys, all these plans, they don't plan for 20 years or 50 years. They plan for 100, for 200, for 1,000 years later. Like plans for 500 years later, they are already there today. that our kids and our grandkids and our grandkids, they'll come to experience 5 years later. 500 years later. That's how they plan. So for Africa, colonialism, the difficult thing, or the major thing that colonialism did to Africa, it was to brainwash, to clear all the identity of Africans. Anything that Africans believed before about themselves, about their God, about their belief in God. Because I was saying this, that Christianity, it was here even before colonialism came. But when they came, their main agenda, it was to tell you that, guys, what you believe on is not right. So they came, they taught us their language, they came, they trained us in their own schools, they came, they did everything. And if you didn't want that to happen, you were there to be punished. One day I was having a conversation with my mom and my daddy, and I was asking them, because they were there, during that time, and I was like, tell me a little bit today the experience of, colonialism and what it did that to you. My mom, she was telling me that, when she went to school, sometimes they didn't have money to pay. So, but when they went to school, these colonizers, they did not just punish kids. They actually called parents to school, and they beat the heck down parents in front of their kids in the entire school. That's what they did. And not only that, he said that, so you'll have all these, kids of colonizers and all this stuff. They had separate schools. They'll never go to the same schools, but the schools of the white men and all these guys, they were far way better, and they had everything. They did not even pay for anything. But then when you go to black school, where our kids, where they attended, man, it was awful. They were sitting, first of all, on the floor, and they were being punished, them and their parents. And my dad, he told me the experience that he saw. This one man who, he just refused to do something in front of the white man. And this guy, he was barbecued. This guy, he was hanged on the tree, and he was barbecued in front of the whole village, entire village. These stories I was hearing from my dad and my mom telling me what was really happening. So with all these things, do you think that these guys are not going to be willing to leave whatever they believe, to leave their norms and traditions, and to believe what this white man was telling them? So what they did is that, brainwash and everything. So until today, a lot of us, we are still brainwashed. We still believe in the blonde hair and blue eyes and, this white man Jesus, that, they came and they manipulate everything. The scripture, even the scriptures that they used. For example, I always say this, like the scripture that they use about, you slaves, obey your master. They did not read the following verses that says, you masters as well, do not mistreat your slaves, because all of you, master and slave, all of you, you have the same Lord, and that is God in heaven. So when you read the scriptures, it's very clear about how slave and master should behave with one another. It's basically like specified that it should not be about, okay, you are higher than me and you're no, you should respect them, you should not mistreat them and all those stuff. So a lot of our people these days, and I understand this, a lot of people are skeptical and they hate the idea of all these things because of things like this that we're talking about today, LGBTQ. Because these guys, they still believe they own us. They still believe they own black men. They still believe they own Africans. That whatever that they decide, whether it's natural or artificial, whatever they decide, the first people that they are targeting is Africans. That Africans must obey this. Africans must follow this. That's why you're not going to be surprised today. All the celebrities in the United States, all black people, very few people that I know. Like just 2 days ago, I was, my laptop is not working today, but just 2 days ago, Neo, I don't know if you've seen the interview of Neo. He was talking about this issue. Let me see here if I can share with you guys. This guy right now, he's having backlash because of what he shared about this issue and how they're targeting children. Like they said, he was saying that, for example, in LA, there's this one law right now that if your kid come to you and say that, that kid wants to be a woman, then you should not say no. Otherwise, you go, to prison and all the stuff. He was sharing that. Let me show you here, because now the laptop is. Let me show this video just for a second, and then I'll continue to build into this, because this one. Let me show this for a second here. Okay, yeah. this interview. I want you guys to listen to this just for a second. This is Neo having interview, and now it's a big deal. Like, people, they are attacking him and everything, but I want you guys to see this and to see what he shared. This guy, he was just speaking, and I'm so proud of him for what he shared about. Let me share this a little quick for you guys to listen to this, and then I'm going to continue. Listen to this.
With the LBG, I have no problem with nobody. Okay,
Right.
love who you love, do what you do.
Exactly.
I just personally come from an era where a man was a man and a woman was a woman, and it wasn't but two genders, and that's just how I rock.
Me
Now,
too.
you could identify as a goldfish if you feel it.
Right.
I don't care. That ain't my business. It becomes my business when you try to make me play the game with you. I'm not gonna call you a
Right.
goldfish, but
Exactly.
you want to be a goldfish, you go be a goldfish. It's all good.
Amen.
I mean,
Well said.
it's just, we live in a weird time, man. We do. We live in a time where a person will have a mental breakdown in front of their camera.
Right.
Wait, let me white balance. No, it's right.
That's crazy, right?
What the hell is that? Like, if you are of sound mind enough to find the light,
Right.
and then break down,
Exactly.
ain't nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Man.
No, there is something wrong with
There's
you.
something wrong with you.
Right.
There ain't nothing wrong with you. Like, man.
Right.
I don't know.
You're adding to it. It's all how we deal with life.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and a lot of people want pity, self-pity.
I
And
listen,
I don't like that.
that was one thing that was not allowed in the house that I grew up
Mm.
in. It's like, okay, get your cry out,
Right.
give that its moment. But once it's done, keep moving.
That's right.
We're not going to sit and dwell in sorrow. We're not going to
No.
sit and dwell in anger. We're going to give those emotions the moment that they deserve.
Amen.
We're going to respect those emotions. But then we're going to get up and continue moving, because it's not about the fall. You can fall 1,000,000 times. You
Amen.
get up 1,000,001. That's the way I was raised.
Me too.
Yeah, like, all right, that hurt. Go ahead, cry.
Now they pamper, oh my God, and
trigger
let's go to the
warnings.
house.
What the
Right.
hell is a trigger warning?
Yes, exactly.
It's just when I
It
just
is
don't know
weird
when the
times.
world became so sensitive. Like comedians can't tell jokes no more.
No.
Like, everybody's offended. It's a joke. It's
Right.
a comedian.
Right.
It's a joke. You're not supposed to take it serious. It's a joke.
Right.
His literal job is to joke. And you
About
want-
everyone.
About everyone
Right.
and everything. And people want to get offended and like, don't say that. That's triggering. Oh my God. You know what?
Yeah,
Sit in your house by yourself.
exactly.
It annoys me.
I mean, anything can trigger you. A light can trigger you. A smell can trigger you. So, I mean, we got to walk on eggshells. Well, that's what they
Listen,
want us to.
That's what they want us to do.
But
My
I'll
generation,
be
there were no
damned.
trigger warnings. Okay, you got up and you kept moving. That's
Right.
kind of what it has to
We
be.
was kicked outside. We would come inside before the lights go
Mhm,
down.
Exactly
If we
that.
got bumps and bruises, we just washed it off with the hose outside.
Yeah, you was good. Come on, man.
It's totally different
We need
times.
to get back to them days. I feel like I feel like parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is.
Amen.
It's like, okay,
Lost control.
if your little boy comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl," and you just let him rock with that, you just let
Right.
he's fine.
Right. And where did he get that
If
from?
you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's going to do that.
Exactly.
Like, when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that.
And to medicate these young kids that are 5, 6 growing up and knowing that it affects their brain, it affects their organs, it makes them sick, but they're not allowed to do drugs. They're not allowed to do alcohol.
Right.
We can
He
medicate them
can't
up.
drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex.
Right. Right. What sexual orientation, and he can cut off his pee-pee, and that, to me, that makes no sense
And
whatsoever.
so I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they either passed or are trying to pass a law in LA that states if your child comes to you and asks to do some of these things and you say no, they could take your kid for
Yeah, that's true. Just passed in California.
That makes no sense.
They want us to have no control over our children
I don't get it.
in schools,
I don't
and
get it.
hospitals, libraries.
Yeah.
They just want to manipulate. You got to understand, when they're so young and they're already, that's
Impressionable.
That's right.
Mhm.
And from them, they're going to believe what you say. I mean,
Yeah.
we say Santa Claus is real, the
And they
Easter Bunny.
believe it. Like,
Right,
come on.
exactly.
Like, you gotta
They know what they're doing.
remember who you're dealing with. Like, I can't take credit for it, but I heard somebody say one time, it's like, all right, if your son comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl," Ask your son, what is a girl?
That's a good one.
What is he going to do? He's going to say, well, he might want to play with dolls. All right, you want to play with dolls? Fine, play with dolls.
Right.
But you're a boy playing with dolls.
That's
I
right.
want to wear pink. All right, cool, wear pink. But you're a boy
That's right.
wearing pink.
I was a town boy. I still love boy sneakers and I love my baseball cap. Doesn't mean I want to be a man.
Right.
So it was his interview that he did, but I want to share his response, because after that, I think one of his publicists, he went to the Instagram and share an apology that, you know, he's apologizing and everything, but this is what he responded later on. Right?
About what I say, whatever. I normally don't care because, like I said, opinions ain't special. Everybody got one. However, this is something I feel very strongly on, and I need y'all to hear this from the horse's mouth, not the publicist's computer. So check this out. First and foremost, I do not apologize for having an opinion on this matter. I am a 43-year-old heterosexual man raising 5 boys and 2 girls, okay? That's my reality. Now, if my opinion offended somebody, yeah, sure, I apologize for you being offended because that wasn't my intention. My intention is never to offend anybody. However, I'm entitled to feel how I feel. I'm absolutely entitled to feel how I feel the same way you are entitled to feel how you feel. I ain't asked nobody to follow me. I ain't asked nobody to agree with me. I was asked a question and I answered the damn question, okay? I have no beef with the LGBTQIA plus community whatsoever. I ain't got no beef with y'all. Do whatever the hell it is you want to do. Do what you want to do with your kids. However, somebody asked my opinion on this matter, and this is how I feel. I will never be okay with allowing a child to make a decision that detrimental to their life. I will never be okay with that. I definitely plan to educate myself a little bit more on this matter. However, I doubt that there's any book anywhere or any opinion that somebody's going to tell me that's going to make me okay with letting a child make a decision like that. That's just period, point blank, and that's how I feel. If I get canceled for this, then you know what? Maybe this is a world where they don't need a Neo no more.
All right.
Yes, my brother.
So that is what I imagine. Like this is one of the very, you know, for me, I see him as a brave man to actually speak up his mind and also to step out and to be like, I stand with what I say. But you know, the thing is, this is happening. Imagine this in the United States, but here in Africa, it's even more, because first of all, if you are not agreeing to all this agenda, then you know they are cutting down everything. If it is World Bank, if it is IMF, whatever it is, they're cutting it down, you know, and you can see like how much strength they're putting into that. So, you know, what I want to round up with, you know, with my thoughts and everything that I'm saying is that, first of all, everything that is happening is, I was saying, this area that is abusing our children, you know, because if you have two female or 2 male and you're raising a child, because now they can adopt a child, that child is growing up in the environment that he don't or she don't get to choose who is mom and who is dad. What is this child gonna say? So this child is growing in an environment that he cannot choose anything. First of all, that is abusing of the child. You're abusing children. So all these things that are happening, the main agenda, especially to Africa, in my opinion, is to destroy Africa's family values. Because that's one of the strongest things that is still there here in Africa. People are fearing God here. And the family values are very strong. I was sharing the other day how kids are being punished here. Yeah, punishing a kid is not a crime. Like in the US, oh man, you could be like 20 years old and your mama is going to punish you. Even 40 years old, your mama can punish you. Still, your dad can do that because, you know, you are their child. And they gotta make sure that you are staying on the line. And, you know, these are things that Africa cares the most about the family values, about the basic stuff. All these things, Africa is caring a lot. But for them, these agenda are aiming at destroying the family values, are aiming at separating us, are aiming at, you know, destroying everything that we have, you know, taking away the fear of God. And what you have left is the fear of the Western people. So all these actions that they're taking is just so that we can fear them, and we can stop moving forward. We can stop making our own decisions for our own people, for our own kids, and be controlled. Like whatever they say, that's what we have to follow. Whatever, but we have a choice to make because they ain't doing the same thing to Chinese or to Arabic countries. They're not doing that, but to Africans. And I think this is one of the reasons. So it's the time for Africans to stand and to be like, you know what, I ain't gonna follow this. We ain't gonna obey this. We're gonna make our different choices. We're gonna make our own choices, and you're not gonna say anything about it. You know, and even before they sanction, like they're doing to Uganda, they should sanction us. We must sanction ourselves so that we may continue to protect what we have. So we gotta stay, you know, they're going to make as much noise as they can. But if we stand on a lane and keep defending the image and heritage and our culture values, our family values, then nothing is going to change. And I'm so proud of Africa because we're taking that road, even though these things are keep going on in a secret, somewhere under carpet. We've been talking about this. They're going, you know, in secret with these, you know, few NGOs and all these few different agendas that are going, you know, somewhere. But we are not going to stop to shout and to speak until our people hear what we are saying. That no to this, and we're not going to allow it. And if they're going to ban us because of what they say, then let it be so. But we're not going to shut up.